Welcome to the Know Your Ship podcast, presented by eHub. I'm your host, Frank Dolce. Welcome. Man, you two together on the Know Your Ship podcast. This is an enormous day for the Know Your Ship podcast because this, superstar, like chills. Yeah, co-founder of Böhme, the one and only Fernanda Böhme. And I thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And you brought with you, let me check my notes. Is the K silent? Is the K silent?
No.
No, it's a hard K.
Michael Birkeland.
Yeah, I do a lot of service in
Is
that
it like a
lawn.
Birkeland?
Birkeland. It's Norwegian, but
Yeah.
we just crank it as
You know what?
Birkeland.
We actually looked you up. By the way, this is a power couple. I mean, I'm joking on you right now, but like the stuff, the movies, the films, and the other stuff that you do
Yeah.
has been like really meaningful for people like me in developing my own
Wow, thank
sense
you.
of humor and lifestyle. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is I think it's such a great story because two really different backgrounds, right? Like let's talk about Fernanda. Let's talk about yours a little bit. By the way, just so you know, this is a podcast. We're going to talk about Böhme and the business and how you've been so successful and built this up with your sister and lots of other good partners. But we really like to kind of dig into the backstory, and figure out what motivated people to get to this position where they are today. And I'm specifically interested in your relationship and how that is additive or takes away from your business. Anyways, you grew up in Brazil
That's right.
until how old?
So we came to the U.S. when I was 8 years old, and we spoke no English. So English is actually my second language.
Wow. Do you still speak Portuguese?
100% fluent.
Really? It doesn't go away?
No. Well, we spoke it at home all growing up.
Yeah.
So
And so when you say the family, who was involved? Who came over?
So it was me, my other two siblings, and my parents.
Gotcha.
And we actually moved to Provo, Utah.
What was why? Yeah, that look.
P-Town.
Why did you move to Provo?
Well, that's where BYU was, and my dad wanted to get a third degree. And it's a big deal to get a degree from America if you're an immigrant. So that's where we went.
So your dad's very well educated, believes in
Already.
education.
Already in Brazil.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
we move, and it was very difficult. Being an immigrant in this country, you don't know the language, you're just trying to figure it out.
Well, I was just making a terrible assumption then, because your dad, who I'm assuming then passed on this love of education to his children. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Did you pick up? Well, I passed it on, but did you?
But I started the business really early, so I didn't really get to further my schooling.
Okay. Well, let me go back. I was making the assumption that you came over with your family. Your dad's really well educated. That you just stepped into life in the United States, and it was like hit the ground running. Is that not the case?
Oh my gosh. Is this a joke? No. Quite the opposite.
People
No, it was
look
a
at me and
sink or
say that pretty regularly.
Yeah. It was sink or swim.
Yes. Well, tell me. Give
Well,
me the
Okay, I'll paint.
Reader's Digest.
Yeah, Reader's Digest. I'll just paint a quick picture. It was my dad's going to school full time. We get out of school. I mean, we're in elementary school. We get out of school around 3:30, and then my parents would go clean buildings at minimum wage until midnight, and we would go help them for free. We would work for free till midnight every day after school for many, 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 many years. And so, if you think of a family of 5, we lived below the poverty line, way below. And that was life. Like, I didn't feel sorry for myself or anything, but it was reality. And it was one of those things that it really teaches you how to be creative. When you don't have the cash, you have to be creative. And today, as a business owner, it's all about being creative.
Yeah. Well, creative, absolutely. But it also sounds like you learned the value of putting in work, of hard work and effort. Like, these are themes that I think are meaningful, and we'll continue to talk about that as we move along. And speaking of hard work and effort and determination, that's right. I'm looking at this guy.
Like, how did you marry this guy?
I mean, maybe we should. I didn't say that. Could you see that? I was
No.
thinking that.
No.
Oh, like maybe we should say more like silver platter. Would that be more appropriate?
No,
Appropriate for this guy? I mean, he immigrated from Norway, right?
Well, and by way of my grandparents, yes. No, I can't. I'm from Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and then I moved here specifically for film back in the late '90s. But I grew up on the church's welfare farm. Our family did the cattle ranch.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So is this kind of a family background sort of thing, like being an entertainer, and then you just naturally gravitated toward it?
My dad and mom are intellects. They're, been to Berkeley.
Michael is the black sheep of the family.
Is that how?
Black sheep.
How many in his family? Like
There's 7 kids.
7 kids.
Yeah.
We recently had a guest on this podcast that also is from a family of 7 kids.
Really?
He had 6 sisters, 1 male, 6 sisters.
Wow. We have 1 sister and it's 6 boys.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So how was that? How was
Awesome.
that growing up?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I'm number 5, so I mean, I loved having a lot of big brothers, and it was great. Like when I went on a mission for my church, I was the 5th, so my dad's like, "All right, well, high five." Like, no need to hug. I've done this many, many times. Get out, get moving, get to step. No, I'm just kidding. Not that bad, but
So I don't know if I can compare this appropriately, but with Fernanda's experience and coming to the U.S. and that struggle and difficulty, I mean, where did you serve your mission, by the way? Don't tell me you went back to Tennessee.
no.
That would be too easy.
Sacramento, California.
So kind of like going to a foreign country.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Oh yeah.
What?
It was a bit.
Tell me some of the lessons. What did you learn on? I mean, I don't think you can equal what Fernanda's gone through. Like that is a
No. It's
That's
totally different. I mean,
backstory,
we both grew up poor, but it's completely different. We spoke English. My grandparents went through the language and cultural issues. Not my parents or
they
us,
didn't
but-
pass that down to you.
No, but
Okay.
I did grow up in Tennessee, where they love the Mormon Church. Anyway, they're all anti. So I mean, it was a culture shock going to a place where there was way more Mormons in general. So it was great. But what did I learn? To love people, love everything around me. I appreciated everything about everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then you got into film, which is kind of
Yeah.
an interesting. None of your family did that.
No.
You just decided that was your path.
Yeah, I always wanted to. We would be working on the farm, and my dad, we didn't go to movies a lot. If we rented something, and that was later on when that came out, it'd be John Wayne or something, Western. But we go to a movie like if it's Jaws, Rocky, the big ones.
The classics.
Yeah, and I thought, I got to know. I got to know how they do it. I want to know. And it seemed impossible where I was. And so after serving a mission, I was like, I'm going to go figure it out. I don't know how. I'm just going to figure it out. And that's what I did.
How often? I mean, it feels like so it feels like there's some similarity in your stories. And how often? I mean, generally, when you think about people who are successful, that seems like a recurring theme. Like, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to do something, and then I just had to go and figure it out. Is that kind of an accurate
Yes.
appraisal of what you and your sister?
Oh, yes.
did?
Yes. I mean, in the beginning, our very first store, it was one of those things that we didn't have the cash for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like our dad was out golfing and making connections by any stretch of the imagination. So all I had was a credit card. So I took out a credit card back in 2007, and that's how I started buying inventory.
How old are you at this point?
23.
Okay. Wow. And did you enroll in college,
So
university?
I did the fashion school at the Salt Lake Community College.
Okay.
I'm their alumni. And
Very nice.
I mean, I wanted to get the heck out of here. I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to do couture. And doing retail was not in my line of sight, but then that was the reality. It's just like, you know what? Your parents aren't going to pay for your school. Like it wasn't realistic. I had to do with what I had. I had to be frugal. And it's like, this is the reality. You're going to go to Solid Community College and you're going to go to the Fashion Institute.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's an amazing program. Can I say the teachers are beyond qualified, and the things I learned, the fundamentals, it's the same anywhere you go around the world. So it taught me a lot.
Well, look at the product. I mean, obviously, it's unbelievable what Slick is doing and producing.
Yeah.
over there.
Well,
Do we have a Fernanda Böhme building there on campus yet?
There's a big mural.
There's a photo of me.
A big
photo. It's huge, isn't it? Like,
Well, no, there used to be a mural, but there's a photo in there.
I can
One of their
see,
success
I can
stories.
picture the mural with you looking like this. Unbelievable, right? And then you know,
and then I'm in the back.
You're like
I'm in the rake.
photobombing it. Yeah.
I'm in the. It's our gardener. I mean, I'm married to him, but it's also our gardener.
I mean, he's really good at landscaping. What are you going to do?
Miss Böhme, won't take off the trims. Okay.
So you guys aren't married at this point, right?
No.
When you're
No. I
23,
met
so-
him 3 months before I opened the first store.
Oh,
Well, second store.
First store.
First store.
First
oh,
store.
yeah. Very
First
first. That's
store.
right. That's right.
07. I met him in 07.
Yeah.
I opened Bohm just
okay.
months
So
after.
that's awesome because you were kind of getting to know Fernanda as this is occurring.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, no one believes me. Oh, yeah, you're going to do a fashion line? Yeah, good for you. Yeah, right.
By the way, I was looking at your fashion line, which is excellent. I think I skipped the men's. Is there like a men's section that I'm missing?
And by men's, there's no men's.
No, yeah, there's no men.
That's why I skipped it pretty easily.
Is that
You know,
that
our
on the
first
roadmap?
store, yes, it is. We've talked about it. In our first store, we used to have men's. This sounds terrible. You can totally edit this out.
We probably will. Don't worry.
Don't.
No, you maybe you should. In the men's section, this like half of it, we had a theft problem on the men's
because
stuff.
the women were stealing all the men's stuff. It was so appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darn
People
it.
think that women steal clothing. It's men that steal clothing the most.
No, both.
Oh, they both steal clothing, but
We
Not-
don't need to
not
talk
in-
about theft. I'm just saying that it was like
That was a real
hard
issue.
business because it was like a big issue. Half of their inventory is going out the door.
Wow.
and back then it was
When
name
you-
brand, so it was kind of expensive inventory.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're right.
So, okay, not to get off track. But
Yeah.
I have a few ideas for the men's line. So maybe
No, no.
we could schedule some
We
time.
can talk
maybe on the
after.
golf course. I mean, you mentioned that earlier. Like, let's go out golfing.
Yeah,
And
I'm not a great golfer. I just show up for the drinks, and I like the golf
Perfect.
cart ride.
That's perfect.
Non-alcoholic drinks.
Yes, absolutely. I'm with you.
Just,
Are you a golfer?
I can swing the club. No, my whole family's like great golfing. I enjoy it, but I am not a good golfer.
You are
so.
the black sheep. Can we just talk about that? What happened to all the brothers and your sister?
We actually live all over the place. I have one brother that lives here in Utah, and the rest we're all in different states. And they all chose the path of righteousness and to make money by I do this job and then I make money every week and then every month and I have a 401k.
A more traditional.
Yeah, I went way the other way. I said 401k. Hey, no, I didn't say that. No, I never said that. I sang it. And so anyway, but the I knew I was. Let me tell you what's weird. I got into stand-up comedy from the very beginning on accident. I was never in a million years even thought of even doing it. I'd watch the comedians on Carson with my dad, with my brothers, and then I got talked to into one night on an open mic. I've done it for over 30 years. So I've done probably more stand-up than anything, and I've been all over the place stand-up and Jay Leno. You don't know. I mean,
You don't know what you don't know.
you know. But anyway, so that's kind of how I went a complete different direction. I went to the arts 100%.
Yeah. And you know why? We were talking about this earlier. You're more of a right brain.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's if I use my left brain. See what happens. I didn't know. It's just like
I noticed that earlier too. I didn't want to say anything, but since you mentioned it, you have
you
that
start
thing.
talking math soon. I'll be like, hey, you got any more of that dry cake over there? No.
P.S. I brought some pastry for us all to enjoy.
I love pastries.
One you do.
Yes,
Let's
I'm
talk about that.
Brazilian.
Yes.
We have a sweet tooth like nobody's
Oh
business.
man, I feel like I'm Brazilian at heart. I'm
Yes.
Italian, but I think I'm also Brazilian because I have a sweet tooth.
Yes.
Like crazy. So I thought maybe that we could connect over some pastry. One person really connected over the pastry. I'm not sure how much is left. We'll have to check after.
Let me see who did that. Let me talk to the guy in the
I mean, he must be
sound
Brazilian
department
as
probably
well. Right.
handed it to me, the whole thing.
Whatever. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Right.
Since you have been around since the beginning, and you know the backstory, I want you to tell me some of the traits, some of the things that you see in Fernanda that make her so successful.
Okay.
talk show right now.
This is I'm so glad it's not like Springer. Well, let me bring out my girlfriend. And I'll tell you
Someone have a
what.
chair. We're breaking chairs.
I'll tell you. Number one, I don't know a man that can outwork her, and I mean physical. Cannot outwork the hours, the everything. She and her sister both. She would go buy clothing. She'd go work the store. She had another job, and then in some of the stores, she's like, "Hey, we gotta build something in the store. We 4 a.m. we're working into a store," and they'd open the store. She'd have her. It was a constant. I know there are times that she slept probably 2 hours a night, and then I don't know how many times it's awake for 3 days. It's unreal because they built all their first stores on their own, no contractor. So they were
you
doing.
were swinging a hammer, painting walls.
Oh,
swinging a
I
hammer,
have all my tools. I have everything.
I knew it. I knew. It's not
We
just
built
pastry.
furniture.
You should see my garage. Like, I'm a tool junkie. Home Depot is my second home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
you and me. Okay.
We even made out at Home Depot once. I'll get into that later, but that's how often they were like, "This is kind of romantic." We were here like every other day.
I mean, listen, I understand. You get into that appliance section, things start.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, it
Things can
does.
go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, back to
But anyway,
Fernanda.
yeah. So anyway, and what's funny is, and at the time, at the beginning, this is interesting. Stilettos were in. Women were wearing stilettos, and you've never worn a stiletto until you've seen a Brazilian wear a stiletto. So here's a stiletto in Utah. Here's a stiletto in Brazil. So you're on your tippy toes. They would go up and down these stairs all day, all night in heels. They look hot, and you could see a lot of people would look, especially employees, that go, "How do these two pretty girls? How are they? Wow. There's got to be something else. I can do this." No, they can't.
You couldn't do it.
No. In fact, most men can't keep up with her. And what's funny, the other is they're negotiating. So Fernanda, when she negotiates, especially with contractors, she knows the plan inside and out. She knows every detail down to how many screws you're going to put in that one wall right there on that line. And if you don't follow it, she's on you. And contractors, I think at first, like, "Oh, cute girl, I'm going to," and fire comes out and like, "Okay, free to the wall. Don't make her mad." And that's a good quality. So there's I want to call it negotiating.
I'm glad you
but
qualified that. And so that's a good quality because the way you were framing it, it seemed like that could have gone the wrong way. But we're going to put that in the good quality.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Every detail of everything.
But that doesn't make sense because you said that you're right brain. Like that's the creative, right? But the attention to detail and the analytical side of putting together a store and all of that seems much more left brain.
Okay, so here's my secret. So when you study up on
Listen, everybody listen.
This is a secret.
This is the secret.
So when you study up on ADD, they talk about they have superpowers that they can hyper focus. Okay,
That's your superpower?
that's my hyper focus.
So are you saying that
If I'm passionate about it, I'm like all over it. I'm like
Really?
up somebody's nose.
Okay, and is that
like if that's my focus and that's what I'm
Yes.
passionate about, like I'm obsessed. Like if the light is shining down and it's the wrong lumens, or it's the wrong Kelvin, or it's the wrong beam angle, Done.
That's
the
it.
day's done.
Yeah. I think
So I'm obsessed over things that regular people are not obsessed about.
You know how people, like famous people like you and Michael Jordan. Yep, I just put you in the same sentence. So Michael Jordan has a famous quote, like, he made practice harder than anything. He made practice hard because then the game was easy. That's one of his famous quotes. So when practice time for him, like that was it. That's where and the thing that you just said, I think that we could make that into a quote. Like, if you want to get something done, then you get up somebody's nose. Like, that's how you do it. You have to get up.
And again, since I was a child, I've noticed that I was passionate about things that people my age didn't care about. Like if I'd walk into like a room and there's a projector playing but the lights were on, I'm the first one to get up. Hey, you, where's the light switch? Turn off the lights. We can't see the projector. We can't see. I'm obsessed with my environment and making sure and controlling it. Other people could care less. They're like, we're enjoying, but not me. Like inside, I'm fuming as to why this was missed. So anything visual and environmental, I'm
very insightful. Yeah. And is that something you developed over time? Is that something you were born with? Is that something you got from your parent? Okay. Is your sister the same way? Your
left
partner?
brain, 100% left brain. And that's how we come together. She's left brain, I'm right brain.
Right. Interesting. Do you see this as well? Kind of this hyper focus? And is it just in the business world? Like this hyper focus?
No,
or,
in fact,
yes,
outside of work.
My horoscope says workaholic.
Yeah, that is true. She's a workaholic. But when she was younger, she said, I'm going to learn to play the violin. She found a way to buy her own violin when she was, I think, 12. And played it in the Utah Symphony.
What? Utah Youth Symphony.
Utah Youth Symphony. And then, University of Utah Symphony as well. And then picked up the saxophone all the way and went into a jazz band. And she's uber talented. So when she puts a hyper focus on something, you can't stop her.
So you know how, I can't speak for everybody, but everybody has a different gift. Everybody has a different talent. You take somebody that's like really good with numbers, they can split a spreadsheet and see it in their minds. And it's like, how do they do that? I don't know. That's their gift.
Agreed.
So I can take any environment or project and see all the layers all together.
All the details.
So I can walk into, I can see a flat piece of land and walk into the building, touch, feel, taste, smell, and know all the layers all at once together.
All the senses. Did you ever see the movie A Beautiful Mind? Russell Crowe. You know what I'm imagining right now? Tell me.
You just want so badly that when you open the garage, please, everyone, please tell me that there's, and there was all empty paper. You're like, come on, man. But anyway, he was so hyper intelligent, and but when he walked around, he could see. It was like a spider web. He could just see everything all at once, which is, I'm that way in film, in the industry, and like in comedy. When I walk into a room, I can kind of feel everybody, but in where it really matters in life, she can read the person in that space as well, which is not very common.
So she's like walking to the blank room, and in your mind, it's like
it's all there,
all built. Yeah,
I'm
we walk into a blank room.
It's like, wait, is that a blue wall? That's weird. And then we go get some pastries.
We should paint that. Let's go. Let's go get some pastries.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Yeah. Well, I think you're right. Everybody has gifts, different gifts, and the fact that you kind of found yours early on is super meaningful. I think maybe you did the same thing. And that may have been difficult to go outside of the family trends and say, look, this is what I'm good at. I'm going to go do this. So this is what I want to ask you both about. How important is it in life and in business to find what you really enjoy and what you're good at and then go run with that? Because I talk to a lot of people who are not happy and who don't ever latch onto that.
So there's something that I'm so obsessed with. It's called find your frequency. So that's my motto. So in finding your frequency, like with Michael going away from his family's like uber traditional. They're accountants, or they're really
Medical.
inside the
Oh,
box.
yeah.
I hope if they're watching it, I'm sorry, I don't mean it in a bad way. They're just very
It didn't sound like
traditional.
it was in a bad way. No.
And finding your frequency, it's realizing and using your talents and your gifts to better your society, and knowing that what you can bring to the table, nobody else can bring to the table. So, okay, so how do you dissect that? Okay, I could be good at a lot of things. Okay, you don't know this. I used to do credit repair in my past life. Okay, great. But would it be
nice.
the best use of my gifts and talents to be sitting behind a desk and doing credit repair? Probably not, right? So the thing is that when you find that frequency and you use those gifts and your ability that are God-given, that no matter what you do, you can't buy it. It's organic. It's already in your DNA. When you use that, it's powerful. It's magical.
Yeah.
You're unstoppable. Nobody is going to outwork you. Nobody's going to outdo you. I mean, could you imagine John Williams? That he
Yeah.
one of the greatest composers of our
all time,
time. He
yes.
did Jurassic Park, Star
Star
Wars,
Wars,
and the list
E.T.,
goes on.
yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And so could you imagine him going, you know what? I'm really good with numbers, and I'm a really good accountant, and I could do a really good living being an accountant, so I'm going to do that. And imagine if he ignored that gift and said, you know what? I don't know if I can pay the bills composing music. Could you imagine the loss of our society?
Yeah.
But look at him now.
Oh my, you're giving me goosebumps. I am so motivated right now. Like, I want to take these headsets off. This is not my calling. Just kidding. I really enjoy this.
No, it is. I could, you know what? I could say.
I really like this.
No. You're a
totally.
people person. I feel it. Like you need to be surrounded by people and you get energy from people.
Definitely.
You do.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Would you agree with that? Like finding your frequency? What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, in fact, it's ironic because we both love the frequency side. I've filmed for groups that I can do on the research side of that. So it's the same thing with me, where I hear people always all the time going, "Oh, dude, I'm just going to manifest." Okay, but what happens if you manifest what you're supposed to manifest? What happens if you find out what God has actually given you? The skill, the trait, that passion inside of you, because there's a lot of smart people, super, super intelligent people that could go do 10 different things. And I have so many friends, they're my age, they have 3 houses off the Cabo, and you rarely see them smile. They don't visit because they're so busy. They don't enjoy their life. It's not that it's not a bad thing, because they're taking care of their family, et cetera. But when you can figure out how to do it within that frequency, what you actually love, it's obvious that you're 3 people right now that obviously love exactly what they do. There isn't one of us here that doesn't love our life. And I know way too many successful people that not only don't love, I think they hate their life. And then people that you meet that live in the worst part of town, you could never catch a frown on their face. Everything is bright. Everything is good.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
The mindset. And have you ever read the book by Viktor Frankl, who was he was in a concentration camp. Man's Search for Meaning is the name of the book.
Amazing.
And would you think that you could find any joy or happiness being in a victim in a concentration camp? Well, it's the whole story is about how he found meaning and happiness in his life being in this circumstance. So, and we don't have to live in that, but the message is the same. Finding your frequency, finding your happiness.
I have a great example. Have you ever seen the real life movie Mulan? Not the animation, the redo.
Mulan P.S.
Disney
is one of my favorites of all time. No, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I love it.
The real action movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's a part in there that, if everybody knows the story, Mulan goes to war as a man, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And she's been told her whole life to suppress her chi because she has a very powerful chi. And for her, it was she could fight in an artistic way like nobody else. And she's told her whole life, you need to suppress that. And her dad's like, you're a lady. Like, you're not supposed to be fighting. Like, no. So anyways, she runs away, goes into war as a man. And there's a part in the movie that's very powerful if you catch it. And she is alone and the witch approaches her. So it's just nobody else in the scene, if you know what I'm talking about. It's just the witch and Mulan. And the witch says, who are you? And she tells, I'm Wan Hu. I am, I work for the emperor. I'm a soldier in the emperor. She goes, the witch says, you're a liar. Who are you? Asks her again. And she introduces herself as a man again. And the witch says, you're a liar. Your lies poisons your chi.
Yes.
And that's the point, that Mulan knows what she has to do.
Mm-hmm.
She immediately realizes that if she's not herself 100%, she can't attain the highest version of herself.
Mm-hmm.
So she takes the pin out of her hair. The hair comes down. She takes away the man's armor. She gets on the horse. She goes back to battle as a woman. Wow, am I getting emotional? It's the most beautiful part in the movie. She goes back as a woman, and she gets cast out, ends up saving the emperor and the entire village and the entire country. But the point with that story is, wow, there's just people all over that are, putting aside their pride or putting aside whatever they have to attain the highest versions of themselves. And it's difficult sometimes because we have parents going, hey, I paid for your school. You need to be an engineer. Or, you know what? My family's doing this, or my friends are doing this. So they have these expectations that they put on themselves, and they forget to, once they peel the layers, it's like, oh no, what do I have to give? What is it? What is the highest, realist version of yourself? Mm-hmm. And it's the hardest question for yourself is to trust yourself. And everybody's like, I don't trust that guy. I don't trust that person. What about trusting yourself, right? It's self-trust and being 100% honest with yourself. And then all of a sudden, the highest version of yourself comes out.
Well, it's powerful and it's meaningful. And how many people, like you said, get stuck because of fear, because of what society says you need to get a job and you need to have a 401k. And that's the only way you're going to be able to take care of your family. And so how many people, and I bet all of us in this room could say at some point in our lives, we've backed away from that. Like we've succumbed to the fear. And so it's hard. It can be very difficult to overcome that in your life. I mean, does that resonate with you as well?
Oh yeah, because it's funny. I used to think when I was younger, I was afraid, what if it didn't work? What if I couldn't do it? I mean, I to be honest with you, I really wanted to do Western movies because I grew up watching Western. I thought that's what all the movies were. Obviously, that's ridiculous, but then it got to the point like I was more afraid if I didn't. And I when it's hard because people are so, you walk this line of like, you don't want to sound like you're a proud person, like, oh man, I'm awesome at this. You're like, people love that when you're eating food. I'm an awesome chef. Good. Please don't be mediocre because I don't want to get sick. But when you have a talent that's in front of a person, it's weird when you know the gift and talent you have. And once you've realized it, there's no walking away. It's impossible. And then you have to figure out, how do you live your life with these gifts and these talents? And some of these talents are used whatever, and you still have a day job. Or sometimes they're your full-time life or whatever. I mean, she'll be one to tell you, I love having stuff on this earth. I love money. I love whatever, but it's not my motivating force. How I can affect myself or someone else's life in a particular space, that matters more to me than anything. And if you can figure out how to make it work, because you go to school and get your doctorate to become a psychiatrist, but if you can't talk to people, and they don't like you, well, that's a lot of education and a lot of money spent to do Dan's grocery store stocking at night.
Or credit repair.
Or
Yikes.
although she was making hundreds of dollars a year, so we're not one to brag, but we had a Sentra. And so I am, no, I'm just kidding. It was a Mazda. But
Did you drop it? Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I had a Mazda once.
once.
It's all it takes. That's all it takes. Listen, I can't believe we're running so out of time. This is
Oh, really?
so amazing.
How
Gosh,
impossible.
I
wow,
don't
my
know,
fast.
but listen, this is my favorite segment of the show, of the podcast. This is called 3 Random Questions. Okay? Are you ready? So just first
For
thing-
each of us or together?
I don't care.
Okay.
How do you want to manage this?
Well,
You come up with a question,
That's
I
almost-
might just hand it over.
she might shush me.
Who's a better actor? Who's a better actor?
Oh, boy.
this is great. I wasn't even going there. But let's do this. Who's a better actor?
Oh, thank you.
He wins this round.
He won the better actor. Who's funnier?
No, it's
I think you're sneaky.
No,
I think you're
no,
sneaky.
no. he's
if we're
funny.
speaking in general terms, maybe. But anytime we get together with someone that people only know her from the business world, you get on a personal, like on a double date, or like, man, your wife's hilarious. She's not that funny at work. You're right. She's not, because she's not telling jokes at work. She's making sure 400 people have a job. Like,
funny at work.
Yeah, but she's like super. Like she doesn't even smile at work. She's super focused. But when you go out, like she's really funny. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
She's really funny.
I think I've sensed that too. Like sneaky sense of
sneaky
humor.
funny.
Thank you. Okay. You're feeling it because this is funny. One time we dressed up as a redneck couple, and I painted my
Please,
teeth black.
do we have pictures?
Oh, yeah.
Of this?
We do somewhere. I'll find
find
it.
'em.
Okay.
And people are like, I can't believe Fernanda would do such a thing. And I'm like, dude, people don't know me.
Right.
Here's my sense of humor. I'm either like beaten written up on Forbes.com, which we were.
Yes.
But I'm like, hey, Michael, wouldn't it be super funny if I just stopped whatever I'm doing and I'd go to Walmart and just get a job
right. Just show up at the register.
and just show up at
show
the
up
register
greeting people.
and I would like totally do it.
And
Maybe
film it.
work in the women's apparel section, just helping people out. You know
Whatever. I'm just like
what I'm saying?
Michael. So
Kate
that's
Jackson collection right here.
so that's the kind of humor I have. Like
It's so good. That's really
And
yeah.
it throws people because I had like short
Yeah.
jeans. No
So
one's talking
listen,
about that.
Here's
But
how I would grade this. Like you're funny. You're very funny. It's all surface. You're surface. This has some depth
oh yeah,
to the.
yeah. My depth is way more serious. It's ironic because her depth is more funny.
Why? Very shallow.
Yeah,
Broad
shallow.
swath. Very shallow. Okay. Second question. Who's more likely to complete the Iditarod?
Ooh. Do you know what the Iditarod is? It's going to be me, but explain what the Iditarod
The
is.
Iditarod is a race across Alaska. It's a several-week race across Alaska on a dog sled with very few supplies, stopping points, horrible, terrible conditions, out in nature. Like there's not a Bohm retail shop at the mid stopping point, if you know what I'm saying.
listen,
Yeah.
I can barely run 1/3 of a mile. No.
This would be the
After
way.
I
Yeah,
gave
I
birth,
didn't,
I was like, nope, I'm good. None of no.
To be fair,
That was it. I threw in the towel.
he does look more like an Iditarod guy.
I don't know. I can get the burly bear. Wait, here's what happens.
The
You go,
Viking.
The Viking,
Yeah.
dogs, snow sled. Already, I'm going, go on.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Yeah.
you said something about dogs. And then I heard the word snow. So I'm going to go ahead and go to lunch. And you guys keep talking about her. Yeah, I did her. She's not going to be, don't be cheering me on. Maybe through Zoom.
Yeah.
You're doing good. Oh, bad reception. Let me finish my text. Okay. You look good out there.
You look fantastic, honey. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. Yeah. There's a great book about the Iditarod.
Book of Mormon. No, sorry. Sorry. I'm not putting a plug for Jesus.
You know, this is so funny. It was perfect timing. Perfect timing. Wow. Who's more spiritual?
No. No, we're both spiritual. I can't rate spirituality. I won't.
Yeah.
It's
A rare, this is a rare, serious moment for you. Like, you got really serious when I asked that question.
yeah. I don't. It's kind of like when people go, I got a D in seminary. You get a D for studying the scriptures and having a testimony.
Well, no one ever puts it like that.
I'm just going to go ahead and give you an A. You showed up, you get an A already. Good grief. Did you pray once this year? A plus. We've had some great spiritual moments together. So I can't level. I couldn't do that on spirituality with anyone.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good answer. Okay, last question. Would you rather ship your pants or ship your bed?
Pants.
Why?
Because the bed has like 50 layers and this and that, like the work involved, and then you have to dry clean everything. I'm like, it just seems the most practical.
Yeah.
The most practical shipping is always going to be in your pants, buddy. So get.
Well, it's the right answer. Because
Oh, God.
shipping a bed is logistically significantly more difficult
Yeah.
than shipping your pants.
I would definitely say ship the pants because there's a phrase they used to say in the South: if you ship the bed, you ship the bed. And you're like, okay, that means, but thanks for saying it twice. But if you're in the middle of something, and I'll be honest with you, I've been a marathon runner in my day.
You did
believe
not.
it or not,
No,
before
I don't want to believe
the 8-pound weight gain.
I don't want to believe that.
Yeah, and there comes a point where you can either ship your pants.
Okay.
Or
look,
you can go on the
look,
trees and
I
you
didn't
just
know if
go,
you were being
dude. You just
sarcastic
go.
or literal or what. So,
Yeah,
Well,
you take it however.
so just, yeah.
But since you're in retail, you'd probably want to ship the pants because you make money off that.
yeah, shipping a
thank
bed
you.
is expensive and
yeah.
it's difficult.
No, you're not going to get the smell out of that one.
Yeah.
There's no washboard.
Shi-
No
ship-
washboard for the bed.
Shipping your bed
Yeah.
really stinks.
Yeah. No pun intended. It reeks. It
Well,
just
thank
really
goodness
leaves a
now
stain.
you can roll up a mattress into a
Oh,
little
I know. How
box.
about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Can you
Figured
ship the
it
roll-up
out.
mattress? I'm still going to go with my pants.
Yeah. So let's still
Still
go
going,
back.
still
Okay.
going.
All right. Let's get back. Let's get back
Let's
to the
get
show.
serious.
Back to the Know
Okay.
Your Shit podcast. Okay. I want to get back to this question. Spirituality. I wasn't going to go here, but because of the way you answered that question, like, how important is that in your business life? Is there a spirituality that you take into your business life?
100%.
100%.
And I always talk about if people lived on a metaphysical realm, they'd get more out of life. And what I mean by that is when you're living on that metaphysical, it's like you're living above the clouds and you're trusting that inner intuition. You start making decisions based on your gut feeling and your intuition, which there's no paper to prove that, but you just know it and you trust it. And I've made some very big decisions that I had no proof, and everything on the paper was showing against it. But I just had that intuition. And to me, that is like a spiritual force. And I believe that your soul has the DNA that you need for your life and to make all of those really tough decisions. It's already ingrained in there. And if you knew how to access that, you can see past, present, and future all at once. You understand the whole picture, not just a little piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Is this something that you are in tune with as well?
Oh yeah, 100%. The you include the creator of who you are into what you do. Most people don't know the story, but years ago I got offered a job. It was on a big network, and it was to play a character. There's certain things I said from the beginning I will not do. There's just certain things I'm not doing. I'm not playing a rapist. I'm not doing a pedophile. I'm
for
just certain
you.
things I'm not going to do. And I don't care if that
for you.
stretches your character, whatever. I'm not doing any of that crap. So they offered me something, and I walked away. And everybody at the studio was like, it's just the first time anyone's ever walked away. I was like, I can't. There's certain things I just can't do it. And that was a big turning point in my life to kind of make my life even better. Just to kind of correct, because I thought, do I give up the impression I'll do anything? Because if I do, then I'm not that guy. And so the things that we choose to do, business-wise and as a couple, we fast and pray about everything. Well, as much as we can, about every detail of our life.
So apparently, when you were fasting and praying about the podcast, we got a positive.
Yeah, I was like, hey, how many more hours left in this fast? Because I really feel good about the show. So I've already got my answer. You know what I mean? I mean, is that Ron to start earlier? Because, I mean, he said I just want to shit my pants really fast and get right over there. And no.
Yeah. Yes.
I knew after 3 hours, I was like, I skipped breakfast only. I was like, we're in, dude.
Ooh, that's it.
Let's go get some snacks.
It was so powerful.
It was so
Yeah, I felt the same way.
I knew it.
I felt the exact same way. Okay. Let me ask you this question. Both of you this question. I want you to tell me about a big failure in your business life, personal life, whatever it is, and the lesson that you learned from that failure.
Okay. You want me to? She looks at me like, you have plenty of those. Why don't you just choose from your glossary of failures?
Because she was like, should I talk about?
My biggest failure is to my right. No. I'm a recovered alcoholic, drug addict. I've been to prison, jail many times. Jail many times, prison once.
Thank you for that.
I'm not like, it's not like a repeat thing. It's funny. Everything was going, from an outsider's perspective, everything's going just great. No one really knows what's on the inside of you. And I walked away from all of it, everything. And no jokes, no comedy, no movies, no nothing. I need to fix my life. And so, and it was during that time, that's when I met Fernanda. So when we first met, we talked for whatever. We didn't like start dating. We met. It was a long time later that we met again, and we didn't date. We just became friends. And part of that was I didn't want my old life to be so present in someone's face. You're like, that's a lot for a person to take on, because it's great. You're like, oh, you're in movies, you're on TV, blah, blah, blah. You do comedy, whatever. But then there's this other side, this battered side that I was walking away from, that I put myself in. It's my own fault. I don't blame anyone. But the greatest thing I learned from was that there is something beyond all that, something way, way beyond all that. Even though I couldn't see it, and this is the reason why we probably keep the spirituality in our life. For another reason is there's this loving Heavenly Father that created me, and that I think I always equated, well, if I mess up, then I've lost. But if I win, then I'm okay. And that's not how it works. And I had a friend of mine just explain to me and just said, the world's going to say, if you don't follow this pattern, that you did it wrong. And if you did this way, they did it right. But that's actually the complete opposite of how God works. He sees you going through this horrific. He's like, you have no idea how awesome this is for you. You have no idea. And I could never see myself married again, having children again. That was impossible. So my greatest upset was the greatest thing that ever happened in my life. The greatest. Thank goodness.
Wow.
Oh, thank you.
What a great story. What a great story. And it's a story that reverberates over time. We hear lots of stories throughout history of people who find themselves in the depths and work and claw and crawl their way out to be something better. And it's not like you said, hey, I want to have all of these problems in my life so I can be a better person.
Right.
It landed on you, and then you dealt with it, and then coming out of it, you said, well, maybe that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Oh, yeah.
But you had to go through that. And I think as humans, we were talking about fear earlier, we don't want to do that. We don't want to go through that. And so that's a very powerful story.
You just touched on something, and this is our motto, or at least mine, for 2024. There's a children's book that is called What to Do with a Problem. And there it talks about, wow, the problem just showed up. I didn't want it, but it was just there. And then the problem followed me everywhere I went. And as it followed me, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And towards the end of the book, the boy says, I knew I had to face my problem and I had to confront it. And now I know it's secret because every problem has a secret. It holds an opportunity to either grow or to do something different out of your comfort zone that you didn't think you would have ever done. So now I tell myself, I don't have a problem. I have an opportunity. If friends and family comes to me, I said, you don't have a problem. You have an opportunity. Mm-hmm. Just look for it. And sometimes it's right under your nose.
So much, you've given so much good stuff today. Like, I love the hard work, rolling your sleeves up. Go ahead.
But you asked us both like the hard questions where, okay, what's a failure in your life? And I feel like, I've been doing this for 17 years, and all the time there's ups and downs, and there's a roller coasters, and people talk about the good things. And like today, last night I posted like this row of all these awards that we got. And I'm looking at that video of like all these awards over the years, and I'm just like emotionally a little bit exhausted because that came at a sacrifice and that came at a price. And I remember after we opened that first store, I never wanted to do Böhme again. I mean, it was a 3-month temp store, and that was a pivotal moment to where, you know what, it failed. Mm-hmm. I'm now even more in debt with that one credit card. People didn't understand Böhme. They couldn't even say Böhme. They didn't accept the brand. I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm just not qualified to do this. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'm not experienced enough. Maybe I had all these fears and all these reasons as to why I shouldn't keep going. And that's when I prayed and I turned to God. I said, is this my path? And I heard a clear voice that was, get up, go back to work, because you won't be alone. There will be angels helping you make the success. And from that, I learned we're not alone. There's a much bigger picture, and God is very big and very powerful. And just because you can't do it doesn't mean he can't. So I know we're not alone. And we've had, now we bring these experiences in our lives on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, to where you start making a list of miracles in your life and you're not alone. It's like there's too much coincidence, or the people, or maybe it's earthly angels as well, right? People that we meet. And there's just a lot of the unseen that people don't like to talk about. And I know a lot of business owners, they're like, oh, I did this, I got lucky. Oh, the timing was right. It's like, no. There is a much bigger picture, because at the end of the day, it's like fashion. Oh, you do fashion. It's such a superficial industry. Oh, believe me, it's very superficial. Even picking the model, they have to look perfect at every angle, because you're paying the photographer X amount. Now I have to judge these girls, how the way they look, And so I understand it's superficial, but at the end of the day, my industry, or many industries, you're putting food on the table, from the person that's picking the cotton, the person that's sewing it, the person that's shipping the goods, and all of that, you're putting money on the table for somebody else.
Yeah.
So
that supports a host of people that you don't even recognize. You don't even take into consideration. Absolutely. No question about it. Well, you guys have been unbelievable. This conversation has been, it's been so engaging and insightful and interesting. I love the backstory. although two different worlds, there's a lot of similarities. This concept of hard work, like I resonate with that. That's one of my constant lessons for my kids is like, you have to outwork people. Like lots of people are talented and you have to outwork them. And you've done that and you've done that. And this concept of finding your frequency, like that's, I don't know that I've heard it before because I've listened to stuff that you've done, but I don't know if people know about that enough, really finding your frequency. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you one follow-up question about that before we go. How can we do that? How did you find your frequency? How can we, if we're not in tune, what are some of the things that we can do?
So this is funny. When we go to gatherings or parties or whatever, I look at somebody. I don't know why. I look at somebody and I kind of know the industry that they're in. I kind of pull out some like strangers, complete strangers. And I could kind of, okay, you know what? You're very well suited here. And when people come and interview with me, they're applying for one job and I look at their shoes, I look at their clothing. I said, oh my gosh, you are a genius with organizing. Or I feel organizational skills, you're admin, you're a genius at this. Oh, that's not the position that I've applied for. Oh, let me tell you, you're going to be a rock star here. So I just know, just intuitively. And
but where does intuition come from?
From above, I would say. But
Sure.
It's almost like you ask a person, what would you like to do when you're as a child? And a child will tell you. Mm-hmm. It's having childlike imagination. You have to go down to the roots. Mm-hmm. Take away the money, take away the pride, because the money blinds you as to what you want to do. It's like, my real estate, or sorry, my neighbors make tons of money in real estate. I mean, I should do that. That's not your...
Sometimes it's funny to people go, so what do you do? I'm an accountant. No, you're not. You need to go, and like it's so quick.
She'll just put them on the right path.
Yeah, it's so funny. But there have been so many people you've said something to where you're like going, you should really do this instead of like, I've always wanted to do that. And they change their trajectory because of one person supporting them. Just one. Wow. And you've done that. But because she has this, she's a Brazilian dude. She just doesn't.
I'm a Sagittarius. So we're very honest.
Yeah.
Wait, you're a Sagittarius?
Yes, I am.
It's the most frank zodiac out of all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
We say it how it is, and because we don't know any better.
Yeah. Most people. Yeah.
Ironically, I'm a Virgo,
Nobody
but she says
it
I'm not a
nicely
Virgo.
before.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel in a way I feel bad for you, but in a way you're in exactly where you should be because you're operating with a person who is on such a different frequency. Like,
yeah, very true.
I feel like you and I are just trying to catch up to that. Like, how do we catch up? How do we catch up? That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question.
And I'm not intimidated by it. It doesn't bother me. I know some people it's a difficult, especially if it's a woman. Like, oh man, how do you live with Fernanda? She's so smart, so successful, whatever. Thanks for finding nothing good to say about me. But what I've done, other than gardening, is
But you're really good at that. Did you align
Okay.
up? You're like, hey,
I'm in the background.
you have some
snippers. Anyway,
really cool.
But you
skills.
operate because you're so forcibly honest about everything all the time. You do work on a different level than most people. I will try to cater to the person's personality or their emotional state. That's not even in your head. You're like, oh, right. Anyway, listen, you need to stop being an accountant and move yourself over to medical. And it's just, it's very matter of fact.
This one guy that I was maybe not the nicest. So he was installing wood in one of our stores. Mm-hmm. It was out of state. And as he's installing the wood, I had this like intuitive download and I'm like, wait, why are you installing this wood? You were supposed to be a doctor. You're supposed to be a surgeon. Like, how did this happen? How are you installing wood? And he looked at me and went to my contractor like, this chick is freaking me out. Like, I don't like this. And
because he wanted to be a doctor.
Well, came to find out, he's like, oh, I dropped out of med school
yeah.
because, my dad was a surgeon. I dropped out of med school because I started making money being a carpenter. And that was that. I'm like, oh, okay. So I wasn't off.
Wow.
I was not off.
Wow.
And he didn't file a suit against her for making her harass.
When you sit with me, when you approach me today, let me just see if you got this feeling. That guy should be a crooner on the big stage, entertaining the masses with the standards of Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. Did you feel that?
Ooh.
You are?
Dang it.
Well, hold on. Hold on.
I was so hopeful.
But hold on. You're a performer in one way or another. Or if you're not, you could be. I'm not telling you to drop everything and go do that. I'm just saying that you could be a performer.
Yeah.
Changing my life right
Yeah,
now.
you
Performer.
If you didn't perform,
Stanley
I don't think you're. Oh, Stanley Tucci. Yeah.
Here's, that's funny
The glasses.
because
Not a hair joke. It's not a hair joke. It's
a little bit. The vibe.
I ask people sometimes, like, who do people think you remind? See, we had some guy on here the other day, and he was like, "Oh, I look like this guy," and we were like, "Yeah, Adam Driver. It's just looks exactly like him." Most people confuse me with two people, or say that I remind them of two celebrities. One is Stanley Tucci, who did a great series on, touring through Italy.
Oh,
yeah, fantastic. And The Rock.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, now are you seeing it?
Yeah. Honestly, your face looks like The Rock.
I see the first one.
Yeah,
I can almost do I can almost do it.
He's like The Rock, but
Listen,
if Rock had an impediment.
Here's the Sagittarius who's like, yeah, I see the first one. Not The Rock.
I guess Rock's in your dreams, but more.
See that? Okay, listen, I've taken all of your time.
No.
It's been a fascinating conversation. I would love to follow up on this at some point and do this again.
Yeah.
We should do this again. I want to give you one. You get the last word. You've given us so much good stuff. One last thing. It could be business. It could be personal. It could be whatever. By the way, I want to make sure that I tell you how much I resonate with the spirituality side and how meaningful that is in decision making and guiding you down your path. What one last thing would you like to leave with the listener?
Wow, you put me on the spot.
It was.
I always have something.
It's a terrible question. It's probably because you gave us so much good stuff today.
I would say, I think I kind of talked about this, but I would say, trust yourself. Don't be afraid. Fear not. Trust it. Yeah. Trust your gut.
Yeah, I love it. And, I have a hard time doing that. I know a lot of people have a hard time doing that. But I bet if we did it more often, we'd end up like you two, the power couple. Fernanda Böhme, Michael Birkeland. Man, thank you guys so much. It's been unbelievable. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you for listening to the Know Your Ship podcast presented by eHub. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.